I'm Sadia Uqaili, a South Asian American director and artist based out of Chicago, Illinois. And I'm passionate about telling stories, especially untold stories, and to share my gift of creativity to make this a more fair and a little bit more joyful world. I am the director of Babsi, a current film in production. It's a documentary feature on the groundbreaking Zoroastrian novelist Babsi Sidhwa. She is based out of Houston, Texas, and an American master. And I am very glad to be here and would love to hear a little bit more about the three of you.
Hi, I'm Shiv C. Shetty, and I've directed the film Maali. And this is my first feature film. I'm a self-taught filmmaker. Before making this film, in fact, I was working in the corporate world. And I think that's one of my inspiration, so to say, to make this film, Maali. Um, and yeah, and it's been a 3-year long journey, but I think it's been so fruitful for me um, to make this film, to learn so much on ground while making this film. I think um, it's been a very blessed journey, so to say, given how the film was made. Today, in fact, there are times when me and Sonali we look back and we think how we started the journey and where we are today. So yeah, so a lot of gratitude, and it's really heartwarming to see that Chicago South Asian Film Festival have selected our film. People like Sadia got to watch the film, they connected with the film, and I'm really excited for the Q&A today.
Hi, I'm Sonali. So good to connect with you, Sadia. Shiv and I have written Maali together, and I've been the creative producer on it and the production designer, and a few bits more roles that I've played in making the film. Prior to this, I've had an experience of being a creator in different ways, where I used to probably do film marketing and brand alliances and so on and so forth. Telling stories has always been my passion, but I never thought this would be my calling till we actually wrote and made Maali. So yes, this is a journey that we've embarked on together with Pragya and Shiv, and the best co-parents that we could ever imagine for Maali. So yes, that's me, and very, very excited for this session today.
Hi guys, so I'm Pragya Kapoor, and I'm a film producer in India. I work in the Indian film industry. I've made a film called Chandigarh Kare Ashiki, Kedarnath, Fitur. These are some of the movies that we have produced at Guy in the Sky Pictures. And my latest baby is Maali, and it's very dear to me. I remember Sonali reaching out to me, and for some reason I answered that message, and I don't know how that happened, because I'm normally someone who is not very good at answering messages. First of all, forget about answering messages of people that I don't know. But I guess it was meant to be. You know, there was some cosmic connection that I was supposed to be a part of their journey and, you know, help them out in whatever small ways I can. And Sonali reached out to me, and I saw the film, and I think I was one of the first few people who saw this film, and it really connected with me and resonated with my beliefs and my thought processes. So when Sonali asked if I would present the film and, you know, support it, I was very happy to come on board, because the subject is so close to my heart, and I really believe that, you know, you can see all the hard work and effort that both of them and the entire team, for that matter, have put into making this film. And I just felt that the least I can do is to, you know, make sure that people get to see it and it gets out there in the world, because it has a very important message, and we really need people to, educate themselves and become more aware about all the things that we are going through in the world today in regards to climate change. So that's a little bit about me and how I got connected to this lovely movie. We are very grateful and we were so excited. I remember when Sonali told me that, we made it to the Chicago South Asian Film Festival. We were all so excited and we were really bummed we couldn't make it. There were just too many things here. You fell sick. I got into an accident. We were just not able to make it. But really happy and grateful for all the love that we have received.
Thank you very much. Lovely to meet each one of you and to have that gap filled that we felt after seeing Maali. I'm glad that you could join us, and as I shared with you, there is right from the get-go, when you begin to absorb the film, there is an intimacy with the environment. It's almost like coming home. And I just wanted to maybe ask you, Shiv, or Sonali, if there is a personal connection to the land, and how and why did you begin to choose that particular area of India? Because that becomes the root of the film. We literally fall in love with that place, and it helps us catapult into the story later.
Yes. So I think as far as the location is concerned, we've shot the entire film in Uttarakhand, a place called Dehradun in Uttarakhand, in and around Dehradun actually. In fact, when we thought of the film, we knew that the visual journey that the film needed, at least the first part of the film that you've seen, where we show the nature and the closeness and the vastness of nature, we knew that some place like Uttarakhand will do justice. Though I had never been to Uttarakhand, honestly. This was the first time I visited Uttarakhand and experienced it. But to answer your question, when we came to Uttarakhand is when our journey with the film actually began. While we had written a draft previously, but when we experienced the entire surrounding of Uttarakhand is when we started realizing there is so much more that we can explore within the script, be it the silence moments or be it the moment where the grandfather and the granddaughter have these conversations. So that particular location became very, very dear to us. That's where we started developing the script and the nuances of the scripts, because we had initially written a draft, but when we visited and we were scouting for the location for almost 3 months. We couldn't find the location anywhere in Uttarakhand. Of course, we had gone to different places, but nowhere we could feel the connect the way we did here. And this also happened very accidentally. It was a very, very difficult trek to actually reach the location because there was no road connectivity as such. So we had to literally trek for half an hour to 45 minutes to reach the location. And when we reached the location, we liked it and everything was working for us. But then logistically, when we started thinking of how do we execute such a mammoth, process on ground in that one small house that was there in midst of the entire mountain. So that was quite challenging, but I think I need to, mention Sonali here because she was handling the entire production bit. So she, with the team that worked on the film, our cinematographer Ankit Shrestha, who was a part of that location, worked really hard to make this happen, along with the other people that were there in the film. And I think Sonali, you will have a more insightful.
I will just concisely sum up what you asked, Sadia. We didn't choose the location actually chose us. Because like we mentioned, after strenuous recce of about 3 months and, almost locking a place to shoot, and then, something within us said that, no, this is not happening. And then with the production equipments, with that little girl who's only about 8, with her to trek down half an hour with the equipments, no vanity vans, no electricity, as a matter of fact. So we had to carry a lot of batteries, small crew. So this location shows us, and we all can see what it's given us in the beginning. And I'd like to sum this up by saying that it was extremely heart-wrenching for us to see, because when we visited the same location after 6 months, it's become exactly how you've seen in the film, where the trees are gone. So the big tree is gone. It's been completely, I don't even know the count of trees that have been felled and axed, because they're constructing a road there. So I think it was something that the location wanted us to do, and yeah, that's why we've been a part of that location, and that's been a part of our film. So yes.
Absolutely. I also, I'm glad that we have you, Sonali, the writer here, because I felt, as I said, Jigar must have shared the video he took when I was talking to the audience there. The whole experience, of course, before the story curves into when she comes to the city, but it has a specific, very rhythmic pacing to it.
Right.
And it's almost it's very different from what's being produced these days, where it's just go go and go, and we are all very tired of information. Especially visual information has become noise for me now, right? But in your film, you allowed us to begin breathing, which is exactly what I want to do with my films, right? Very Roma-esque. If you've seen Roma, I don't know if you've seen Roma.
Absolutely.
Alfonso, yeah. So that, and if you could talk about that, and also the fact that, yeah, it's almost like poetry written for that place. And if you can talk a little bit about writing the script and about the idea of the pacing of the film, and that rhythm that you continue to carry through the film.
Right. Sadia, I'm so moved that you've spoken about the aspect of the pacing of the film. And honestly, as much as I'd like to speak about it, to be very honest, that credit goes to Shiv, because we've written it together. And, this is completely Shiv's idea to pace it. You are so bang on that, yes, it was an inspiration from Roma, because a lot of times, and I think for most of us, I think we as audiences have lost the patience to watch movies now, and very soon everything becomes too boring, and thoda jaldi ho sakta tha, like we all keep saying. But pace was something that Shiv was very clear that I want it to be slow. It is all right if it's slow, because I will give them the pace, I will give them the crescendo. So I think rightfully Shiv, and yay, somebody has spoken about the pacing of the film, which is really making us happy. So yeah.
Yeah, it's just I'm glad to hear, because it's evident when you watch the film.
Thank you.
The next thing that was on my mind to request you to shed a light on was the casting. I mean, it's a beautifully selected cast that from the lady who is the owner of the house to the Maali who's so Maali-ish, right? And this young girl who you can really, you gave me the age right now, but when you're watching the film, you can't put a finger. Is she an adult or not yet? and she has that naivete of being somewhere in the middle where we used to be like 13, 14, you know, we are almost there, but we don't know what's happening around us and within us. So tell me a little bit about that. And Pragya, did you come in later with the as a producer, or were you involved, creatively involved with the
No,
cast?
I came on much later, but like I've always said that, like said the mother, not the mother, the owner of the house, she is my absolute favorite. There is so much warmth in her and the way, and you know, for me, the most interesting bit was that all of them are, almost all of them are first time actors. They have no acting experience.
Wow.
So when I got to know about that, I was like, this is amazing because, and I think that really comes across so beautifully, that honestness, that earnest, you know, that everything is done with so much purity rather than it being a calculated act of, you know, okay, I will do this in this scene and then I'm going to, you know, bring it up this way or that way. They were just performing for the first time and were just all so natural because they were not having any technique to block their mind to try and portray something. They were just somewhere being themselves, and there that just comes across so beautifully because you don't get that much in today's time when you watch a film, that naiveness, like you said, that honest, you know, and I think it's so beautiful, whether it's Tulsi or the lady who owns the house, or like the Maali, all of them are so real and innocent that it just feels like this is happening as you know, as you're watching. So I agree with you completely, and I think Shiv can tell us more about how he found these actors. I know it was a journey. There were a set of different actors at one point, and then we had to reshoot it because of COVID, and then new actors came on board. So it was a process.
Yes, I mean, um, firstly, thank you for noticing such, detailed things about the film. I'm so overwhelmed right now, because usually what happens is when you make the film, you and the cast and the crew of the film is generally talking about these nuances. But today, when someone who is not associated with the film has watched it and is giving out such a detail, is so it's so nice. The casting actually, the journey was long. Like Pragya rightly said, these are all first-time, actors, barring the two city actors, Samar and Sakshi, who come from the city. Those are the only two actors who worked before and who know all these technical aspects about filmmaking. But apart from that, all other characters that have worked on the film have been very raw, and they had this quality of innocence that I think exactly what we were looking for, someone who was not acting as such, but was just performing of what instruction was given on set. So I think that really worked for us in that sense, because they didn't have any prejudged uh, preparation or any prejudged notion about how I'm going to be on a film set or how I need to prepare. And they went with every beat that, including me, Sonali, and the extended team, that kept telling our actors at time and again of what we wanted from them. And that's how the pace of the film also kind of came together for us, especially in the first half. Uh, so yeah, the casting of the entire bit was very organic, so to say, and they could perform so well because they had the innocence of not being in front of the camera before.
Amazing. Yeah, it feels, as Pragya said, it feels as if they belong there. And, that is that lady's house. I was actually expecting you to say that this is her home and that's where she lives.
In fact, my bad. Absolutely true. The first thing that we zeroed down when we came to Dehradun was that house called Sinola in Dehradun. And Sujata Sharma is the name of the actor that you guys are talking about. And she actually lives in that house.
Mm.
And the way she welcomed us in that house, and the kind of encouragement that lady gave us to make the film in her house was so endearing. Kind of that gave us also the energy. And when we had written the character of this lady, we knew that this lady was someone who was living alone on her own, and she was connected, still connected with the nature. And she had this beautiful house that she had made with her husband, who is no more. And exactly what, when Sujata ji actually narrated her story, when we were all sitting and we were like, we want to shoot in your house, and this is what the story of the film is. She heard, and she went like, it's a beautiful film. And then somehow me and Sonali, we discussed that, how about we explore, casting Sujata ji for this role. We were not sure, honestly, when we approached her, because she didn't have any acting background, and I didn't know whether she wants to act in a film or not. So when we approached her, what she told us, what for last month or so, she's been thinking of doing something new in her life, and acting was something that she was going to consider. And here we were, in her house, planning this movie. And and she said, I don't know how to act, but Shiv, if you guide me, I'll be more than happy to be a part of this journey. And that's how the entire casting of Sujata ji happened. And the rest of the character also, similar stories of not having any acting background. A few had theater background, but that was again very local theater background, which which also kind of gave them a lot of more, lot more belief in themselves, that are you sure we can act in a feature film? So that was also a reaction that kind of made us sure that, what, they have the innocence of the same innocence that we carried, that can we make a film? That belief that yes, you can make a film. That's how the journey for everyone, including the cinematographer, the guy who's given the music of the film, Shashwat Mal, everyone had that innocence. So the casting also had that innocence while when they came on board.
Lovely, thank you. It makes sense. All of a sudden, the pieces come together.
Yeah.
So I just if you I really enjoyed how skillfully you move from this place of haven and a place where you can actually begin to breathe, and I mean the audience, when you are in the mountains, in, you said, Dehradun, and then the transition from there to that urban cage of whatever the city is. I don't know which city you went to. And then quite organically, the story takes triple jumps into getting quite dark, right? And can you, Sonali and Shiv, can you talk a little bit about that shift in the story and what made you decide to develop it to that extent of flipping it completely? So what I'm trying to say is that it was not only the environment that changed, but also the story that changed with it, right? You can almost feel the foreboding of something bad is going to happen when she's leaving, the young girl, Tulsi. So talk to us a little bit about plot development and the idea of, because it's a very daring move from going to this, from this to that, and to taking it to the extreme extent, which brings us to the end of the character in the city.
Sonali, you want to take that one?
Yeah. So I think we knew that we're showing the journey of Tulsi's character, which we've seen through our own experience. How we are very different where we're when we are closer to nature, When we worked in our corporate backgrounds, the only thing that we kept saying is, oh, we need the weekend off. We need to go closer to the nature. We need to breathe. Is a line that we often used. Most of that you see in the transition, Sadia, what we've gotten alive in the script and in the film is through our personal experience, because that's how you become. Even for us, when we're in Dehradun, we're completely different people, more active, can write more, can think more. But the moment you start going closer into, the concrete world, everything starts shutting around us. For us to show that transition in Tulsi, uh, we intentionally didn't want to do it because Tulsi represented the nature herself. She represented being a tree herself. So for her to suddenly change, we didn't want to show that character change when she went to the city. She adapted herself. But we wanted to show the noise that people who are not closer to nature have, and that's what Sakshi came alive with in the film. So at no point in time did we want to show that Tulsi would change or anything. She would become different because she belonged to the roots. Her roots was in the mountains with the trees. So when she goes there, she's the same quiet person who uh, probably brought the change in Sakshi's life, but it was very short-lived. So that was the transition which we did intend to keep and bring it alive through two different characters.
So when you started writing the plot, that part of the story for me, somehow it was, you show environmental suicide and then you show human suicide, right? And that's how I connected it. Especially when the trees were being cut. I'm a tree hugger myself. I live near a river here, and if I don't go, I don't breathe. Yeah. So I was thinking yesterday, when you show the trees being cut, they are not through a chainsaw. Okay, because that would have been fast and easy.
Yes.
You show, when the axe falls on the wood, it's so painful, literally. It's like as if somebody was axing me, right? And then you equate it to the very dark issues of mental illness, which is so poignant. It's so vibrant, and it just emerges out of nowhere somehow, and as I said, it's skillfully done. I mean, when she comes to the mountain, you can sense it, but then you don't know if it's a lost child or what was the trauma, but it was mental illness basically. So did you always have, I mean, just an extension, very quick extension to the last question, did you always plan that, or did that also organically emerge while you were actively engaged in your environment?
You mean the axing of the tree?
No, I meant the complete 180-degree turn of the story when it goes to the city.
I think it was always there, right, Shiv? I think right from the beginning, we had decided that this is how we wanted to go about.
Yes, that journey, so to say, was always there. In fact, how it came to us, it was more audio for me than visual. I'll give you an example. I have a radio background. So I worked for like 5 years in a radio station. And so a lot of things is very audio driven for me. So even in the film, if you see, the environment changes, not just visually, but also from sound perspective. So the stark difference for me from sound perspective was the noise that we hear in the city and the calmness that you have when you're closer to the nature, the kind of sound difference that you could make out. Similarly, the kind of conversation that you have when you're closer to nature versus the conversation that you have when you're in a city is very different, and it can be the same two individuals who are having different way of speaking. And once you So the surrounding plays a bigger role of how you react to a situation, be it any emotion that we feel inside us. Similarly, the character that we had written for Sakshi, she also had a very different personality, and once she got used to that environment of living with her mother-in-law in that house, suddenly you could see the change for betterment. But then again, everything fell apart when she came to the city life. So that
Yeah.
was that was kind of something that we thought of bringing it out, because that kind of brings the essence of what we are trying to communicate as well. The eco anxiety, at one end you have someone like an eco warrior, someone like a Basant and a Tulsi, who are selflessly doing a lot of things, and then at the other end you have these very self-conscious people who have so many emotions going on inside them, because that's what the insecurity is, what we are surrounded with, in a place like the kind of place that we've shown, like the city that life that we've shown in the film.
The germination, what was the seed of this story? What led you to make this? Was it the forest, or was it suicide and mental illness? Which one of this was the kernel of truth that you wanted to explore through your storytelling?
So I think for me, Sonali can, I think, also answer this one. For me, how the journey started was um, when I'd gone for this cycling trip from Manali to Leh. I've lived all my life in a city, and I've seen that city transitioning also, from being like very, open to being very closed. I've seen that transition. But when this trip happened in 2012, I kind of, it was a self-reflection for myself that, oh my God, life can be very different, and can have a lot more colors, so to say, when you experience something new in your life. So that journey kind of changed and got me thinking that what I live, or what I've lived in the city, is so different from how I see and interact with people in I interacted with the people in those 12 days that I was on a bike on my own. There was no one around me. We were like a group of 10 people riding for 10 continuous 10 days, and camping, and living closer to the nature. So that was one of the triggers that made me think that being closer to the nature, is it that different? Because up until then I could only feel the fact that, oh, there is a lot of tree cutting that's going on, there are a lot of people talking about it, global warming, and there are a lot of conversation around it. But the importance of when you experience yourself is when you kind of think, reflect of, oh, this is what is going on in our life. Sonali, you want to kind of, I would want to know.
Yeah,
what,
the writer genius. How did you
yeah.
twist it around into, such a dramatic ending?
I think if I be extremely honest with you, it is because I think I'm a pseudo, because for me to just sit in a room and feel bad about deforestation. So the answer to your question is deforestation really made me cringe, and the fact that I couldn't actively do anything is where I just wanted to say the story and bring a change in myself and talk about the mental illness, because I have seen a lot of it around me. So just wanted to say that, it's time that we reflect, bring about whatever little change that we can from our end personally, and let's do it. So, I think just to quickly sum up, it was deforestation leading to mental health is how we thought that this story needs to be told. And also, even if we contribute just a tiny bit, it's all right, but it's time that we reflect on what we're doing around us. So yes.
Thank you. That's awesome. Pragya, what are your dreams? Where do you want to take this film, and And also, so distribution wise, and I was wondering, there's such an impact potential. It's almost like it's a narrative, but it's almost like a documentary, right? So yeah, share with us your thoughts on distribution, and
You
where do
know,
you want us to end up, and the impact.
I one of the first things that I told Shiv and Sonali when I saw the film is that, you know, it stayed with me. And I'm someone who personally is very into being eco-conscious and environmentally active. I have an NGO that works solely for the environment, and I'm quite vocal about my thoughts for the environment. And I see how just small thing can bring about a change. So when I saw this film, I was like, if I can get so impacted, someone who's so aware, if I can resonate and feel the pain, even though this is something I'm watching every day, and I'm so aware about what's happening, then imagine how it will impact people who don't know, you know. Imagine how it could change their life and their perspective on how to be with nature and what kind of impact nature has on you. Um, Living in a city, I feel most people are dealing with some sort of depression or mental illness, anxiety. It really triggers us to live such a fast-paced life, right? And that's why, like you spoke about the pace of the film, it's something we cannot digest anymore because we are so wired and we are so used to that social media quick 15-second, the 30-second content, that sitting and watching a film now is like a task for people, right? But what this film does for you is, because of the pace and because of that visual green, serene, environment that you're watching, it kind of changes your breathing, it kind of slows you down, and you're flowing with the film. And I think it's very important that people experience that, because we don't get that anymore. All the films we are watching are either extremely violent or they're extremely, aggressive, negative. We talk about, so I mean, even this film has that to a certain extent, but it's still a film which, asks for change within. So I would really hope and wish that this is a film that goes wide. I would like a lot of people to watch it, especially in India, because abroad there is still a conversation about mental illness, about eco anxiety, about climate change, and people are to a certain degree more aware what is happening and why they're getting bothered by it. In India, I think people are suffering from eco anxiety without even knowing that they are suffering from it. So I'm hoping that we put it out on a platform which is available to the masses, and something that can, be widely accessed in India in particular and Asia, because I really feel people will connect with these characters. They'll be like, oh, my mother used to live like that. Oh, my uncle used to do this, or my childhood was like that. I think people can really resonate with this film on many, many levels. So that is the idea, to make it available for people once it's done its festival circuit, and for people who are, who, I mean, it's very easy to put this on a platform which is only available to a certain niche section of society. But I strongly believe this film can do so good for a lot of people and change a lot of, mindsets. So I would really wish for this film to come on a platform which is, widely spread and deep rooted in India. So that is my aim, and that is what we are all working for and hoping that this film gets.
Oh well, best of luck, and I feel it should be all 6 to 8 graders should be watching this, besides the streamers and whoever else, and especially yeah, mental illness is still not talked about as it should be. It's still a taboo, and there is a huge need for these conversations to emerge. anywhere in the world.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, thank you very much for your time, each one of you. I would leave with maybe one final comment from each one of you, so that we can go home with what you want to tell us.
Come on, Shiv, we'll start with you again.
Yeah. So, firstly, Sadia, thank you so much. Like I said in the beginning of our conversation as well, you know, for us, firstly, making this film was a big deal, and then someone like you watching the film and giving us such a detailed review about the film is also equally important. So, a lot of gratitude that the entire team, in fact, I am in Dehradun, and we are constantly in touch with the entire cast and crew that has worked in on this film. And you know, everyone is so excited to hear what are people saying, how are they reacting, are they liking it, what are the things that they're saying. So thank you to you, thank you to Ketki ma'am, thank you to Jigar for, you know, getting the film in Chicago, showing it to people there, and giving us such lovely response for the film. So a lot of gratitude and love for everyone who's been a part of this journey, and you are a part of our journey now. So yeah, a big thank you to you, and we are really excited to show this film to a larger audience, like Pragya said, and hopefully it'll happen soon.
Oh yeah, of course. The product is so good. You cannot contain it in a suitcase anymore.
Thank
It
you.
has a life of its own.
Thank
So
you.
Nali, you wanna add?
Yes,
Leave us with something.
I was just rehearsing my lines while he was saying it, because by the time it comes to you, you've forgotten half of the things. No, I'm just kidding. I just wanted to thank you, Sadia, because I think we connected before you were going to watch the film, and we were so excited that we made it to Chicago and people are going to watch it. And after after we heard that review that you gave, I mean, you did address the audience after watching the film. It was so heartwarming, and we've been waiting to have this session with you, so we could connect, because like I said, it's really heartwarming when somebody connects with the film, any part of the film. And it's just so surreal for me right now that yeah, we're having a conversation with someone who's connected and who's spoken so well, and just gotten the nuances right from talking about the face to the casting. So thank you, Sadia. This has just been so overwhelming, and yeah, we look forward to many more great sessions with you.
Of course.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think both
our warrior, our producer, Pragya.
I think both Shiv and Sonali have echoed my thoughts and what I would like to say. So I would just end by saying a really big thank you for showcasing our film with so much respect and taking such good care of it. Thank you so much, and we are eternally grateful for all the love that we have received.
Oh, you're most welcome. Thanks to Ketki and thanks to Jigar.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
he's just amazing. It's an amazing team, and they bring the world to us in Chicago.